Mom, I don't understand, I said, staring at the empty seats where my children should have been sitting at my mother's birthday celebration in her New Jersey home. You specifically told me this was a grown-ups-only party. The confusion in my voice turned to disbelief as my brother Alex walked in with his wife and their 3 children, all dressed up and carrying perfectly wrapped presents. My mother's face lit up at their arrival, and she rushed to embrace her grandchildren. "Grandma!" they squealed in delight, while my heart sank thinking of my own children, Lily and Noah, who were at home with a babysitter because I had respected my mother's wishes. "Oh, Emily," my mother said, noticing my expression, "Alex's kids are different. They're special. I'm sure you understand." But I didn't understand. Not at all. All my children, Lily, age 8, and Noah, age 6, were just as special, just as worthy of celebrating with their grandmother. As a single mom, I'd spent the morning wiping away their tears, explaining why they couldn't come to Grandma's birthday party, promising we'd do something special another day. "They're not different," I said quietly, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. "They're all your grandchildren." Alex smirked slightly, adjusting his designer tie. "Come on, sis. You know your kids can be a handful. This way, everyone can enjoy themselves." "A handful," I repeated, because Lily sometimes gets overwhelmed in crowded spaces, and Noah prefers to express his enthusiasm through movement, rather than sitting still. These were the same qualities that made them uniquely wonderful. I stood up from the elegantly set dining room table, my untouched appetizer forgotten. The family photos on the walls seemed to mock me now. Carefully curated images where Alex's family featured prominently, while my children appeared only in group shots, usually at the edges. "Where are you going?" my mother asked, already distracted by Alex's youngest showing her a drawing. "We haven't even had dinner yet." I picked up my purse, my mind already forming a plan. My kids deserved better than this, and suddenly I knew exactly how to give it to them. "I'm going to spend the evening with my children," I said, my voice clear and confident. "All of us should be where we're truly appreciated." As I walked out, I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a number I hadn't called in years. Sometimes the universe has a way of providing exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. The drive home through the quiet New Jersey streets gave me time to reflect on the years of subtle exclusion my children had faced. It had started small, my mother forgetting to invite them to Sunday brunches, planning family events during their nap times when they were toddlers, always finding reasons why Alex's kids were easier to accommodate. I'd made excuses for her behavior, always trying to shield Lily and Noah from the pain of rejection. But maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe they needed to learn that when people don't appreciate you, you create your own joy elsewhere. As I pulled into our driveway, I looked again at the contact I'd found on my phone: Maxwell Bennett, Culinary Institute of New Jersey. Max and I had gone to high school together, and he'd gone on to become one of New Jersey's most celebrated young chefs. His restaurant, La Dolce Vita, was always packed, and Lily and Noah had been begging to go there after seeing his cooking videos online. I dialed his number, hoping he'd remember me. The phone rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Max, it's Emily Parker from Ridgewood High." "Emily? Oh my God, it's been forever. How are you?" The warmth in his voice brought tears to my eyes. "I'm okay. Listen, I have a strange request. Are you at the restaurant tonight?" I explained the situation, trying to keep my voice steady. Max listened without interrupting, then said something that made me smile for the first time that evening. "Bring them over right now. I have the perfect idea." I walked into the house to find Lily and Noah sitting with their babysitter, Jessica, attempting to play board games but clearly downhearted. Lily's long dark hair was pulled back in her special occasion braid. She'd done it herself, hoping until the last minute that Grandma would change her mind about the party. "Mom!" Noah jumped up, his energy instantly returning. "You're back early. Did Grandma miss us?" The question broke my heart, but I wouldn't let them see my sadness. Instead, I grinned mysteriously. "How would you two like to go on an adventure?" Lily looked up cautiously. "What kind of adventure?" "Well," I said, pulling up one of Max's cooking videos on my phone, "how would you like to meet this chef and maybe learn how to make something special in his kitchen?" Their eyes widened with excitement. "Really?" they gasped in unison. "Really," I said. "Sometimes the best celebrations are the ones we create for ourselves." The lights of downtown Montclair twinkled as we pulled up to La Dolce Vita. The restaurant's warm glow spilled onto the sidewalk, and through the windows we could see the busy dining room filled with happy patrons. Lily clutched her notebook, the one where she wrote down recipes from cooking shows, while Noah bounced excitedly beside her. "Are we really going to cook in a real restaurant?" Lily asked, her earlier disappointment forgotten in the face of this new adventure. "That's the plan, sweetheart," I said, smoothing her carefully braided hair. "And you know what? You're already dressed perfectly for a special evening." Max was waiting at the door, his chef's whites crisp and clean despite the dinner rush. His face broke into a huge smile when he saw us. "The Parkers, come in. Come in." He knelt down to Lily and Noah's level. "I hear you two are interested in cooking?" Noah nodded enthusiastically. "I can make scrambled eggs all by myself. And I've been learning about herbs," Lily added shyly, showing him her notebook. "I have a little garden on our windowsill." Max's eyes lit up as he flipped through Lily's careful notes. "This is impressive. You know, I started just like you, growing herbs in my mom's kitchen when I was about your age." He led us through the bustling dining room to a special table with a view of the open kitchen. The aromas of fresh herbs and sautéing garlic filled the air, and I watched my children's faces glow with wonder as they took in the orchestrated chaos of a professional kitchen. "First," Max announced, "we'll have a proper dinner. Then, if you're interested, I thought we might create something special for dessert." He winked at the kids. "I could use some expert help with my famous tiramisu. Can we really help?" Lily asked, her eyes wide. "Of course. I'll even give you special chef aprons." He glanced at me with understanding. Every great chef needs to start somewhere, and my kitchen welcomes all kinds of special talent. The emphasis he placed on the word special was different from my mother's, where she used it to exclude. Max used it to celebrate what made each person unique. I watched as a server brought fresh-baked focaccia to our table, the herbs on top matching the ones Lily grew at home. "I took the liberty of planting a tasting menu," Max said. "Everything's child-friendly but sophisticated. No dumbed-down kids' meals here. In my kitchen we respect all our chefs, no matter their age." Looking at my children's excited faces, I felt the last traces of hurt from earlier beginning to fade. Sometimes rejection just redirects you to where you were meant to be all along. The tasting menu was a parade of delights that made us forget all about my mother's party. Each dish came with a story from Max about its origin, and he encouraged the kids to guess the ingredients. Noah correctly identified the sage in the butternut squash ravioli, while Lily impressed everyone by detecting the subtle hint of rosemary in the roasted chicken. "You have quite the sophisticated palate," Max told Lily, who beamed with pride. "Would you like to see how we make our herb blend?" As we finished our main course, Max brought out 2 pristine white chef aprons, each embroidered with La Dolce Vita Junior Chef in gold thread. The kids' eyes lit up as he helped them put them on, carefully rolling up the sleeves to fit their small arms. "Now," Max announced, leading us into the kitchen. "Who's ready to make some magic?" The kitchen was a wonderland of stainless steel and organized chaos. Staff members smiled warmly at the children, and Max introduced them properly. "Everyone, meet our special guest chefs for the evening. Lily here is our herb expert, and Noah is our enthusiast in training." "Welcome to the brigade," called out several chefs using proper kitchen terminology that made the kids stand taller with pride. Max set up a special station for them with all the ingredients measured and ready. "Safety first," he explained, showing them how to properly hold utensils and handle hot items. Lily took careful notes in her book, while Noah watched with uncharacteristic focus. "First, we make the coffee mixture for soaking the ladyfingers," Max explained. "Noah, would you like to help me count how many we need?" Noah, who sometimes struggled to sit still in school, counted each cookie with perfect attention. 24, he announced proudly. "Exactly right. Lily, could you help me mix the mascarpone filling? The key is to fold it gently, just like how you handle those delicate herbs in your garden." I watched in amazement as my children worked together with none of their usual squabbling. Lily showed surprising patience, helping her brother, and Noah listened carefully to her suggestions. "Mom," Lily called out, "take a picture of us mixing." I snapped several photos of them working, their faces focused and joyful. Without thinking, I posted one to my social media with the caption, "My amazing young chefs creating magic at La Dolce Vita. Thank you, Chef Max, for making this night unforgettable." Almost immediately, likes and comments started pouring in. My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Sophie, who was at my mother's party. "OMG, is that Chef Bennett? The kids look so happy. Things are pretty tense here. You definitely chose the better celebration. Mom, look." Noah called out, carefully piping a mascarpone cream rosette, just as Max had demonstrated. "I did it. Perfect technique." Max praised him. "You know, I teach weekend cooking classes for kids, and we could really use that piping skill." I watched my children flourish under his kindness and acceptance, realizing that sometimes the family you need isn't always the family you're born into. As we assembled our tiramisu, the restaurant's social media manager, Maria, asked if she could take some photos for their Instagram. Lily and Noah posed proudly with their creation, their La Dolce Vita Junior chef aprons dusted with cocoa powder, their smiles radiant with accomplishment. "Would it be okay if we shared these?" Maria asked, showing me the photos. "We're starting a new weekend cooking program for kids, and these capture exactly what we're trying to create: joy in the kitchen." I glanced at Max, who was showing Noah how to make the perfect chocolate garnish. "Of course," I said. "And tell me more about this cooking program." As the tiramisu chilled, Max gave the kids a tour of the herb garden on the restaurant's rooftop terrace. The New Jersey skyline twinkled behind them as Lily excitedly identified different plants, while Noah carefully smelled each herb, declaring which dishes they would enhance. My phone kept buzzing with notifications. The photos were spreading through our community social networks, drawing attention not just to La Dolce Vita's upcoming program, but to the bigger question of inclusion. Comments poured in from other parents of children who didn't quite fit the traditional mold. "This is amazing. My son would love this. He can't sit still in regular classes, but he comes alive in the kitchen." Finally, a program that celebrates different learning styles. "Is there a waiting list?" Even some of my mother's friends were commenting, their subtle messages clear. Wonderful to see children being appreciated for their unique gifts. Some people could learn from this. Max joined me as I read through the responses. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "I struggled in traditional settings as a kid. Cooking saved me. It gave me a place where my creativity and energy were assets, not problems. That's what I want to create here." He watched as Lily patiently explained to Noah the difference between oregano and thyme. "Your children are fantastic. Lily has such a sophisticated understanding of flavors, and Noah's enthusiasm is exactly what a kitchen needs. Would they be interested in being part of our first regular weekend class?" Not just as students, Lily could help mentor younger kids about herbs, and Noah has a natural talent for demonstrating techniques. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with a call from Alex. I declined it, watching instead as my children flourished in this space that celebrated exactly who they were. Let them and my mother wonder why their perfect party was being overshadowed by photos of my handful kids creating culinary magic. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about finding your own path to shine. The next morning, the kitchen was filled with the aroma of fresh coffee as Lily and Noah proudly shared their tiramisu with Jessica, our regular babysitter. The joy of the previous evening still lingered, made even sweeter by the stream of supportive messages continuing to flood my social media. "Mrs. Parker," Jessica said, savoring a bite. "This is amazing. I saw the photos last night. Everyone at my college is talking about La Dolce Vita's new kids program. They're saying it's going to change how restaurants think about children's cooking classes." My phone had several missed calls from my mother, and a handful of text messages. I had left them unopened, preferring to focus on helping Lily plan her first herb workshop for the weekend program, while Noah practiced his piping techniques with whipped cream on morning waffles. It felt good to put the past behind me and focus on what was truly important. "Mom," Lily said thoughtfully, arranging her herb guide handouts, "I was sad about missing Grandma's party, but I think we found something better. This feels like we're making our own special thing." Noah nodded vigorously, a dot of whipped cream on his nose. "Yeah, and Chef Max says I can help teach the little kids how to count ingredients. He says my energy makes math more fun." The doorbell rang, and it was Max, dropping off their official junior chef jackets for the weekend program. "The first class is already full," he announced. Turns out there are a lot of families looking for a place where their kids can just be themselves. I watched as Lily and Noah tried on their jackets, posing for yet another photo that would undoubtedly make its way through our community. In that moment, I realized that sometimes life's sweetest moments come from creating your own celebrations rather than fighting for a place at someone else's table. 1 month later, La Dolce Vita's first official Junior Chef Weekend program launched, with Lily and Noah helping to welcome 15 excited children. The local newspaper covered the event, featuring a photo of my children teaching others, Lily demonstrating her herb expertise, while Noah showed younger kids how to make chocolate decorations. My mother finally stopped calling after I sent her a copy of the newspaper article with a simple note. We found where we belong. Alex's wife reached out separately, asking if their kids could join the program. I directed her to the website like any other parent. No special treatment needed. The kitchen became our Sunday tradition. Each weekend, Lily expanded her herb garden knowledge, eventually starting a small business selling herb-growing kits to other aspiring young chefs. Noah discovered that his boundless energy made him a natural entertainer, and his cooking demonstration videos on La Dolce Vita's social media gained a devoted following. Max and I worked together to expand the program to other restaurants in New Jersey, creating a network of inclusive spaces where all children could discover their culinary talents. The waiting list grew longer each week, but we made sure to reserve spots for kids who, like mine, needed a place to shine in their own way. You know what, Mom? Lily said one Sunday as we prepared for another class. I don't feel sad about Grandma's parties anymore. We made something better. Noah looked up from his chocolate piping. Yeah, and we get to share it with everyone. That's the thing about exclusion, sometimes it leads you exactly where you were meant to be all along. Months passed, and the Junior Chef program continued to thrive. Lily and Noah's involvement in the kitchen blossomed beyond anything I had imagined. It wasn't just about cooking anymore. It was about community, about finding a place where they could truly be themselves. Every Sunday, the restaurant was filled with the sounds of children laughing, the smell of fresh herbs, and the hustle and bustle of the kitchen. Lily, with her newfound confidence, had begun teaching her own herb workshops for the younger kids. She'd even started a small online blog about gardening, where she shared tips on growing herbs in small spaces. Noah, ever the entertainer, had become a crowd favorite. His boundless energy and charisma made him the star of the cooking demos, and soon, his videos were featured on the restaurant's social media pages. One day, as we were packing up after class, Max approached me with a proposal. Emily, he began, a thoughtful look on his face. I've been thinking about expanding the program, but this time I want to take it beyond just the kitchen. I want to create a whole experience for the kids. A space where they can express themselves in ways they never could before. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I want to incorporate art, music, and even storytelling into the program. Kids who might not be interested in cooking could participate in other creative ways. We could create a space where every kind of talent is celebrated, not just culinary skills. His words struck a chord with me. The idea of creating a space that wasn't just about food, but about bringing out the unique strengths in each child sounded incredible. Let's do it, I said, my heart swelling with excitement. Let's create a program that's bigger than any one thing, where every child can shine. Max's eyes lit up. I knew you'd say that. Let's make it a place where kids can learn, grow, and explore who they are beyond the kitchen. And so the idea was born. Over the next few months, we expanded the Junior Chef program into what we began calling the creative space. We partnered with local artists, musicians, and storytellers to create a truly unique experience. Children could learn how to cook, but they could also experiment with painting, playing instruments, and telling their own stories. Lily was thrilled by the addition of gardening and storytelling classes, while Noah eagerly jumped into the music workshops, his energy finding an outlet in drumming. The creative space became a true sanctuary for kids of all backgrounds, each one finding a way to express themselves and feel valued. Meanwhile, the program continued to draw attention. Families from all over New Jersey were reaching out to join, and local news outlets started covering the impact the program was having on the community. The feedback was overwhelming. Emily, you've done something truly special, Max said one evening as we watched the kids work on a mural together. You turned something personal, something that started with a single choice to give your kids more, into a movement. These kids, they'll never forget this. I watched Lily carefully mixing herbs for a dish while Noah led a group of younger kids in an impromptu performance. They had both found something more than a hobby. They'd found a purpose, a space to be themselves and to contribute to something bigger than themselves. When my mother finally reached out again, I was prepared for whatever came. She sent me a text, acknowledging the article I had sent her months ago. "I've been thinking," she wrote. "Maybe I was wrong. I didn't see it before, but you were right. Lily and Noah, well, they're more than I ever gave them credit for. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say at first, but as I read her message again, I felt a warmth in my chest. It wasn't about getting an apology. It was about knowing that Lily and Noah had created their own path, and it was one that didn't require validation from anyone else. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I watched my children thrive, surrounded by friends, mentors, and a community that loved them for exactly who they were. They were part of something much bigger than a birthday party or a family event. They were part of a movement that celebrated all kinds of talent, all kinds of kids. And as the sun set over the restaurant's rooftop garden, where the kids were picking fresh herbs, I realized that this was the most important celebration of all, the one we had created ourselves. The success of the creative space spread like wildfire, and what started as a local initiative soon became something bigger than I had ever imagined. Schools began to take note of the program's impact, and Max and I were invited to speak at educational conferences about the importance of inclusive spaces that embrace different learning styles. Lily and Noah continued to thrive, each of them discovering new passions. Lily's herb garden expanded, and she started running workshops for kids from local schools, teaching them how to grow and care for plants. Noah's energy was now channeled into the music and performance classes, where he began writing and performing his own songs. The program had given both of them the confidence to pursue their dreams. One Saturday, a new group of children joined the program. Among them was a little girl named Zoe, who was shy and withdrawn. She didn't seem to connect with the others and often hid behind her mother, avoiding eye contact with anyone. But as soon as we started cooking, something shifted in her. Zoe picked up a spoon, hesitated for a moment, then started mixing the ingredients for the next dish. Her hands trembled at first, but as the dish took shape, so did her confidence. Lily and Noah noticed her right away and gently encouraged her, showing her how to fold the dough with care, just like Lily had learned in the herb garden. By the end of the class, Zoe was smiling. She had come out of her shell, not because anyone forced her, but because she had been given the space to find her own rhythm. Her mom approached me later that day, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You've done something incredible for my daughter," she said softly. "She's never felt comfortable in group settings before, but here she belongs." Her words struck a chord deep within me. This was exactly what the creative space was about. Creating a home for children who didn't fit into traditional molds, a place where they could embrace their quirks and shine. As the months went on, Max and I expanded our outreach, partnering with local charities to offer scholarships for children whose families couldn't afford the classes. It became a mission. The creative space wasn't just about teaching cooking or art or music. It was about giving every child the opportunity to express themselves, regardless of their background or circumstances. Then came the announcement that would change everything. "We've been selected for a grant," Max said one evening, barely able to contain his excitement. "A national grant to expand our program to other states." The news was overwhelming. We had worked hard to get here, and now our vision was going to reach more kids than ever before. I couldn't help but feel proud of everything we had built. What started as a simple decision to create a better space for my children had turned into a movement that would touch thousands of lives. As the program expanded, so did our team. We brought in new instructors, mentors, and volunteers who shared our passion for inclusion and creativity. We worked together to keep the heart of the program alive, ensuring that every child who walked through our doors would be met with encouragement, acceptance, and the freedom to be themselves. 1 year later, the creative space was officially a nationwide program, with locations in multiple states, and the demand was only growing. Lily had started her own business selling gardening kits to schools, and Noah had become a beloved face in the program, helping other children with their cooking skills and even hosting his own workshops. It was at one of these workshops that I saw the most incredible thing. Lily and Noah stood side by side, leading a group of kids in the kitchen. As they worked together, I saw something I had always known but now fully appreciated: how much they had grown. They had become confident, kind, and compassionate leaders, not because of anything I had done for them, but because they had been given the space to grow and be who they were meant to be. Watching them, I realized that the creative space wasn't just about cooking or any one thing. It was about fostering an environment where children could find their voice and use it to create, to lead, to dream. And as I watched them teach, I knew without a doubt that we had created something lasting, something that would continue to grow for years to come. "I'm so proud of you both," I said later that evening as we sat together, the kitchen quiet after the class had ended. Lily smiled. "We're proud of you too, Mom." Noah, always full of energy, added with a grin, "Yeah, Mom. You made all of this happen. You helped us find our place." I smiled, feeling the weight of their words in my heart. They were right. It had started with a simple decision to protect them from the hurt of exclusion, but in the end, it had led us to something far greater. A place where every child could find their own path and be celebrated for who they were. And that, I realized, was the true meaning of family. As the creative space flourished, it became more than just a program. It became a movement, inspiring families and children all over the country. Max and I had partnered with several influential organizations, and we were now planning a nationwide event to celebrate the uniqueness of every child. It would be a festival of art, food, music, and creativity. An event where kids could showcase their talents and discover new passions. Lily and Noah were incredibly excited. This was their opportunity to share the space they had created with others, to invite children who had never heard of the creative space to see the magic it offered. Lily had planned to host a gardening booth where kids could plant their own herbs, while Noah was preparing a fun cooking demonstration to show kids how easy and exciting it was to make their own meals. As the event drew closer, the excitement was palpable. Max and I worked late into the night, planning every detail, from setting up art stations to coordinating with local musicians. But amidst the whirlwind of preparations, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we had come. How much the creative space had changed not just my children's lives, but the lives of countless others. One evening, as we were putting the final touches on the event layout, Max turned to me, his face thoughtful. "Emily," he said, "I've been thinking about how much this program has impacted you and your kids. But what if we could take it further? What if we could partner with schools directly, creating a curriculum that's integrated into classrooms? This way, kids who don't have the chance to come to us can still have the same opportunities." The idea struck me like lightning. "You're right," I said, a rush of excitement filling me. "We could work with teachers to integrate creative expression into subjects like math, science, and history. Imagine children learning math by cooking, or history through storytelling and acting. It would change the way kids learn." We both knew that it wouldn't be easy. It would require a shift in how schools approached education, but if there was anyone who could make it happen, it was Max. We set out to build partnerships with local school districts, offering to bring the creative space into their classrooms and show how creativity could enhance learning. The event was a huge success. Children from all walks of life came together to share their talents, and the energy was contagious. There were paintings on display, musical performances, and booths filled with cooking demonstrations and crafting stations. Lily was in her element, teaching kids how to plant their own little herb gardens, and Noah's cooking station was a hit. Kids lined up to try their hand at making cookies and simple dishes. But what struck me the most was the sense of community. There was no judgment, no comparison, no feeling of exclusion. Every child was celebrated for their unique gifts, whether they were making music, painting, or whipping up a delicious dish. For the first time, I felt that the world was beginning to see what I had always known: that each child, no matter their abilities, was special. As the sun set on the event, and the crowd slowly began to disperse, I looked around at the smiling faces of the children and their parents. I caught a glimpse of my own kids surrounded by new friends, their eyes shining with pride and excitement. They had made this happen, and I couldn't be prouder. Max came over and stood beside me. "We did it," he said, a satisfied grin on his face. "This is just the beginning." I nodded, my heart swelling with pride. This is only the beginning. There's so much more to do. As the final performances wrapped up, I thought back to that day years ago, when I had left my mother's birthday party, feeling rejected and alone with my children in tow. I had never imagined that it would lead to this. The creation of a space where children could find their voices and be celebrated, no matter who they were. That night, I sat down with Lily and Noah, who were both exhausted but glowing with happiness. "I'm so proud of you both," I said, my voice full of emotion. "You've helped create something incredible." "We couldn't have done it without you, Mom," Lily said softly, her eyes full of love. "You taught us to never give up, no matter what. And to always make our own path," Noah added, grinning. "We're pretty good at that." I smiled, realizing just how true that was. Together, we had built something that was bigger than any one of us, something that would continue to grow and evolve, helping kids all over the world find their place and their voice. And as I watched my children, I knew that they had not only found their own place in the world, but had created one where others could thrive as well. Sometimes the best journeys aren't the ones we set out to take. They're the ones we create along the way. As the months passed and the creative space continued to evolve, I found myself looking back at how it all began. From that painful birthday party to the creation of a movement that gave kids a place to express themselves. It had been a journey of healing, growth, and transformation. Lily and Noah had grown into confident, compassionate leaders, finding joy in teaching and creating, and I had finally come to terms with the fact that the path I had forged for us was exactly where we were meant to be. I sat in the quiet of the evening, watching the lights of the restaurant flicker outside, the hum of laughter and music in the distance. Our mission was clear now: to create spaces for children to shine, to celebrate every unique gift they had to offer. And as I looked at my children, my amazing, beautiful children, I realized we hadn't just built a program. We had created a legacy, a place where every child could feel valued, loved, and celebrated for the extraordinary person they were. The journey wasn't over yet, but I knew one thing for sure. We had found something far more valuable than inclusion. We had found our purpose. And that, I thought, was the greatest gift of all.